Okay, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we are.
Wow, this is happening.
It is. So let's I understand that we're in, where are we?
Puno.
Puma. Everything's Puma. Like, am I wrong in thinking that just because we're in Peru that everything is Puma? Is that bad?
There's a lot of
Should we
Puma.
start again?
No, it's fine.
Puma related things.
We can run with this because it's part of the Incan theology.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, we're in Puno, but I think probably the most important thing to talk about is how our bus driver from Cusco to Puno was an absolute lunatic.
Well, I kind of luckily slept through as much of it as possible.
Like, the whole bus situation was completely new to me.
I was very confused as to why he pulled over so many times.
And then people just got
People
on.
were getting on and like cooking food on the bus.
I don't know who they were.
Carving up chickens.
Fair play to them, but the idea of just cutting like a rack of lamb on a bus in like the middle of the countryside of Peru is.
It wasn't even just
bizarre.
cutting though. It was a full on meat cleaver.
Yeah, I'm going for it.
You could really hear just hacking through.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like for now, it's the only 10-hour bus journey I've ever been on. I've been on an hour bus journey that felt like 10 hours. But, to actually have the time equate to what we describe it as is a different thing. But the bus driver was a lunatic. Just overtaking people all over the place and kind of making decisions at a drop of a hat where, like, if I was behind the wheel, I wouldn't go near it. I'd be quite comfortable behind the truck that's doing 15 kilometers an hour because I know then I don't die.
Yeah, and the 50 people on the bus are also safe.
Exactly. Anyway, thanks for having us, like.
No worries. Hello, dear listeners. This is episode 0 of. I haven't thought of a name yet, but.
We'll put it in later.
Yeah. My travel podcast. I'm today joined by Alex and Emmet. Dear friends of mine who we have known for just over a week.
Yeah, it's like 10 days.
10 days? Yeah.
I'm Emmet, just to clarify.
Yeah, he's the Irish one.
Yes.
Do we need a translator?
Yes.
Maybe for some audiences. We'll put subtitles on.
Right. Lads, if we're talking subtitles, everybody in this room gets subtitles. Never mind me.
And we're 10 days into... are we 10 days into your travel? Did your travel year start 10 days ago? Or were you away before?
It would have been 12 days because I was in Lima.
Okay.
Yeah, just to adjust to the time zones.
Sure.
Yeah, I was...
Yeah, I did the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arriving from New Zealand is very strange. So, yeah.
Because don't you... Did you gain a day on the way and you lose a day on the way back? Or is it the other way around?
Gain a day here and then lose a return. So
there's a whole pop culture phenomenon around that, just based on whether Taylor Swift would make it in time for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, from Tokyo.
And that she gained a day coming to the States from Tokyo, I think. Because she crosses the date line into yesterday.
Yes.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I can't confirm.
We'll put this in the liner notes.
So, would you guys like to, I guess, introduce yourselves as well as your reasons for coming onto this trip?
Sure. Do you want to go first?
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm Emmet, 28. I'm from Ireland, from a small town called Carlow, which is about an hour southwest of Dublin, capital city. And I suppose the reasons behind the trip was partly it's escape, you know, just trying to reevaluate where I am in life, and then just general adventure and kind of seizing opportunities while they're presented. Which I think when we talk about the mountain will become very clear to the listeners. How about you, Alex?
So I'm Alex. I'm from the UK. I've spent a lot of time in London, so I guess I'm from London. I've been there for like 10 years, and recently started travelling properly. I'm 30, by the way, so I've only just kind of realised the value and the potential of travel, I think, like this time last year. And I think the reasons for my travel last year were similar to yours, escape. London's pretty intense and quite brutal.
Right.
And yeah, lots of like personal reasons as well. And in making that decision last year, I then continued to travel throughout the year. And to get to this point, I was kind of visiting a friend in Chile and saw this. We're doing an Intrepid. I don't know what do we call what we're doing?
It's like fundamentally it's a group holiday.
A group holiday, yeah. Where you book a holiday and
But
there's
it's
a
a
bunch
little
of
bit more
strangers.
intense than that.
Yeah. So I just saw it online. My dad had given me a voucher for my 30th birthday. So I was like, yeah, this one will do. I knew that I wanted to go to La Paz, which is where this trip ends for me. And Peru has never even been on my radar. I don't know anything about it, but it's been unbelievable.
It's been real, yeah.
Yeah, Peru's been insane.
Peru's been a funny one for me, and there's fundamentally everything comes back to pop culture eventually, right? But Raiders of the Lost Ark.
okay, yeah.
The opening scene is Amazon forest of Peru when they're trying to get the
Peru?
the Chachachanga.
Right.
I can't remember what the golden eye.
Was that where he switches it with the
yeah,
bag?
exactly, and then the boulder and all of
Right,
that.
I completely forgot.
And then he leaves that, and Belloc steals it from him, and it's the whole start of the whole beginning of that movie.
Right.
So yeah, there's a little bit of that, and then there's a series by Anthony Horowitz, the Power of Five, and the second book is all based in Peru. So when I went kind of looking up things, the Nazca symbols were very important to the storytelling in that book, and I was like, right, well, that's something I want to do. I then discovered the trip that we are currently on, which doesn't include Nazca. I think it's safe to say that I will be coming back to Peru, not necessarily doing any hiking, but with,
You're alluding a lot to the hike.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
We'll get to it. There's so much more fun stuff to get to first.
But yeah, you're right. There's
Yeah.
so much more to see in Peru. We've like scratched the surface, and I feel like there are countries that I've been to before where I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. But
Some are box tickers, like
yeah,
Portugal or southern Spain.
yeah,
Like you can, if you really want to get into it, there's lots you can fall into, but otherwise there are places in the world that are just holiday destinations. A friend of the three of us, Dan, would say Bali is one of these locations. And if there's anyone from Bali listening, I'm very sorry, but you're wonderful for holidays and very little else.
yeah,
You see, I can say that without getting in trouble.
yeah. Absolutely. I think it's like a deeper experience. It's more of a cultural, like not exchange, but I think for me, I, as I said, didn't know anything about Peru coming into it, but it's been such like an eye-opening experience, and I think the diversity throughout the whole country. There's so much going on, from like jungles to even the mountains. Like being at Machu Picchu was like pretty much jungle up there. But then as soon as you go back to
Ollantaytambo.
Ollantaytambo, yes.
I was never able to say it before, so never mind now.
Just the terrain and the landscape was different. And like 2 hours away.
And how brutal it could be. You know?
Oh yeah.
And the fact that there's some stuff that's just kind of growing in adversity to its own climate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something to be said of like Peruvians in general.
Yeah.
Because they're so resilient. I like all the farmers. You know, I feel like that's what their kind of economy is founded on and based upon. And they're like hard as fuck. They're so hard.
Yeah.
And like the shit that they do every day for like no money and for exchange of like goods rather than currency, I think is amazing actually.
The reciprocation aspect, you know, it's something.
It's a completely different culture.
Oh, it's something we've lost as a society.
Which is
just it's so important.
It's so sad actually, and it's amazing to see it. And I think that's like one of the biggest takeaways for me from this trip is that coming from like a madly capitalist society, that I wanted to kind of see another perspective on. And this is exactly what it has given me, because it's fucking mental. It's insane how different it is here. And like people, and like I think in South America in general, people work just as hard, if not harder. They get less, but they're happier.
Yep.
Which I think is insane. And you know, it's amazing to see. And I have, like a huge, deep respect for that. And something that I want to, you know, in my life, I want to be happier with
less.
I think,
it's that old story of two people turn up at a party of a very, very, very rich man, and one says, "Oh, wouldn't you love to have, you know, the marble statues and the swimming pool and all the rest of it?" And the other says, "No, it's fine, because I have one thing that this man doesn't have: enough." Something to embody. Anyway, I find that a lot with people, that people don't know what to do when I'm being like genuinely sincere. It's like, wait, where's the joke? Wait for the joke.
I was genuinely caught off guard there. All right, should we go back to the start then with when we first met up in Lima?
Yeah.
So
Pisco Sours.
Yeah, that would have been so around 10 days ago now. And what were your guys' first impressions of the group and everything?
Coming on the trip, I was more nervous about being the only person on the trip rather than the people it's going to meet. Right? From my profession, I work in film. There is a lot of, you turn up on day one, you meet a whole bunch of new people, and you have to work out very quickly, this personality, that personality, how to kind of navigate and all the rest of it.
Right.
So that aspect didn't jar me at all. But it was more that, what if it's just going to be me and a guide wandering around for 4 weeks in South America? That's probably too intense to even consider. But I think it all kind of settled very well. We have a wonderful group, you know, like a really good gang of individuals with lots of different perspectives, and it just, you know, helps ease everything, I think.
Yeah, everybody seems to be on a similar level. You know, everybody's coming out here by themselves and wants to get something out of this trip, whatever it may be. So I think, you know, everybody's been pretty open-minded, which is great. For me, like, I was just selfishly here for the trekking and the experience. I wasn't expecting to, and I was actually kind of not annoyed, but like I was like, oh god, there's gonna be people there. And I've been traveling for like 3 or 4 weeks before I met you guys, so I kind of got used to being by myself.
Right.
But 10 days in, I'm like, oh god, well, I want this to last longer now.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything like this. I wasn't expecting to be sitting down, chatting, and recording this. And yeah, I think it's kind of changed my whole perspective of what I want to do next, and traveling in general. Actually, I think traveling in company is great. But yeah, first impressions, I was terrified and nervous and awkward, and yeah, I work in the same industry as you, but I was still terrified. I was still like, oh god, this is gonna be horrible. I was very anxious. I just didn't. I was expecting to not get on with people, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that was my kind of main concern.
Right.
And not having freedom to do whatever I wanted, which is what I've enjoyed with travelling by myself.
Yeah.
But it hasn't mattered. It's actually been great because I haven't had to think about anything. Everything's just been sorted. I've had tickets.
Spoon-fed.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is what that is. I don't have to do any research. Go here for dinner. Sleep here.
Yeah. Props to Will, our guide.
Yeah,
absolutely. Wilmer Delgado, great man. But the other thing is with having a group, and I think you go with the same. I'm not sure about you, Lionel. I won't speak for you, but it's because there is 13 of us. Some people have done no research, and some people have done all of the research. So even on the free days when there's not a guide, there's kind of a guide because they know where we're going and we're just following along.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that hasn't done any of the research, by the way, guys.
Because I remember when, I think it was, the first day, and we were walking, and I think it was our first conversation, Alex, and we were talking about the tour, and then I mentioned how, so we're starting here in Peru, and then we're making our way kind of in a U shape, and then completing our tour in Brazil, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you didn't even know that there were more options available.
No, I
right?
didn't. No, yes. I booked for 2 weeks because that was what my kind of budget was.
Right.
I didn't know that there were people continuing on going for another month.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what I kind of alluded to earlier. I'm kind of gutted that I didn't know that, and I thought we would all be in La Paz together,
right.
just getting pissed for another week, and that would be.
Oh well, something could go wrong and we could end up in La Paz getting pissed together anyway. So that there's always options.
Yeah.
And travel has been like down to nobody's. Just things have happened, delayed flights and trains to Machu Picchu breaking down and things you just can't plan.
Yeah. Bit of bad weather.
Yeah.
Bit of bad weather. Yeah. Well, but you know what? The bad weather made the Amazon.
For sure.
Day 2 and 3.
Yes.
Like.
Great segue.
You're very welcome. It's like I've done this before. So going down into the I can't remember what the river was called.
It was the Tambopata River,
which is a tributary of the
Amazon.
Research. Yeah. Drinking. Research. But we flew up that metaphorically.
On a boat.
On a boat, at night. And as the light kind of dimmed around us, in nearly complete silence, other than me kind of going, is everyone all right?
Yes.
Because I'm uncomfortable with how quiet it is right now.
Yeah, it was a weird atmosphere because it was so dark and late, and we'd been travelling all day, and we had a delayed flight, and we'd been told no lights. Yeah. And also, I don't think any of us anticipated how long that journey was going to be.
And none of us really knew each other.
And the river was so high and like volatile, and there was like debris in the river.
The logs were insane.
So I think we were all kind of a bit
on edge.
Yeah. So
it was because of debris that the trip was so long as well.
Yeah.
So
the driver had to take his time.
Yeah. But even at that it kind of added to the experience because like every so often he'd miss the log, as in miss that it was there, and go over it, and all of a sudden you're bumping all around the place, and going, are we going to be stuck here? And then we weren't.
Yeah. I kept thinking, what if the fucking engine goes out?
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyway, it was fine.
I was kind of looking at, because like it was pure darkness, other than every so often there was like a light of another lodge. And I think if something had gone wrong, there was probably some sort of communication walkie network.
Yeah.
That they all just face.
They were like flashing lights at each other all the time and stuff.
All that fun stuff. And then we went looking at spiders that night.
We did, yeah. We were all exhausted.
And it was raining.
But
there was really loud sex frogs.
All night. Oh yeah, there was.
Yeah, because just to put a bit of clarity on that as opposed to a random statement, the frogs in the Amazon love to just make sounds as their mating call during the middle of the night, and especially during rainy season. So there was lots of just
the noise out there was crazy.
that everybody immediately recognises. Oh yeah, that's frogs. Yeah.
They're here.
It's the same in Dublin. Yeah, frogs. Yeah, they're just all around going.
I should really keep a tally of how many times you do that sound, Emmet, because it's already past as many fingers on my hand. So.
But that was great. There was stick insects and funnel web spiders, tarantulas that went up on your hand, and all sorts of stuff. And I'm going, get the fuck away from me. How is this entertaining? Don't put the tarantula in the girl's hand. Just, leave it there. Very happy. But, all in good fun. All building up to the next day, which was basically a scene from Apocalypse Now.
I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, it was pretty bad. There was lots of us just holding bags and stuff above our head. Waist deep in water. On a trail that isn't supposed to be waist deep in water. They gave us wellies and not waders. Like, there was no planning for this.
Yeah.
And also, I love the cheek of the Peruvian boys.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, no, it's a 6 kilometre hike. And 12 kilometres in, we finally got to the lake.
Which was halfway.
Halfway.
Yeah.
But I think it bonded us.
Oh
yeah, no, it was
definitely.
Like, it was
baptism of fire for sure.
Singing In the Jungle and Angels by Robbie Williams just to kind of keep the spirits up of what was
team morale.
Yeah, which otherwise could have been quite arduous. So
Yeah, you're right. It was good to have the personalities coming out that day, because it could have been miserable. Because it did rain for like the first half of the day, as well as being knee deep.
We were wet from above and wet from below.
Yeah. It was a very intense experience.
That's not on the Intrepid website.
Yeah, it was.
It's not on any of the YouTube videos I might have watched.
Oh, there's YouTube videos.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Just in blind panic of, is this going to work out before going on the trip, I started googling things, but not enough.
So we had 2 guides during the Amazon.
Yes.
There was Liston, which is spelt like listen, but then pronounced Liston.
Yeah.
And there was also Christian. And I believe it was as we were arriving to the lunch spot, and we were in our, waist height in the water.
Yeah.
And I asked Liston, because I was at the back with him, is this the deepest you've ever, like the highest the water's ever been during your time in the Amazon? And he just nodded his head very solemnly. And several times I could just hear him muttering in Spanish, what is, oh shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was not having a bit of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Christian was just like, the other guy was just like head first.
Gung-ho.
Yeah, he was trying to impress the girls now, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
There was a certain point, and I don't know if you remember it, right? But the water levels, every so often we dip down, there was puddles the whole way along, but every so often we dip down that it'd get up as far as the boot, and then it started getting further than the boot, and it would fill up the boot, and we'd have to stop and
to paddle the water.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. And at a certain point, I turn to Alex and I go, right, there's one indicator that I'm waiting to happen that hasn't happened yet, but we'll all know when it's happened. Oh, it's happened. We're there now. We're at that level of water height.
Yeah, when it reached a certain point. I think everybody had the same reaction, which was,
oh my god! I think friendships were bonded in the cold water, hitting waist height.
I think the only advantage of the rain, though, was that it kept the bugs away.
Yes.
Yeah.
For most of us, I think some of us, I think Lara got eaten, Richard got eaten. But yeah, on the whole, I think it was.
I had a few things on hands, but nothing really kind of
major.
Nothing major.
Which also, that was what I was most concerned about. Actually, was just mosquitoes and coming away, very, very uncomfortable. Because I hate that shit. Yeah. But it's been fine.
Instead, it was just dirty, wet, clinging clothes.
Yeah, it smelt for a couple of days.
It did. Yeah.
This trip so far has been defined by smells. There was Amazon smell followed by mountain smell, and mountain smell just stuck around forever. Okay. I remember opening the laundry bag before giving it into the hotel and go, oh!
God.
It's a very strong aroma, for sure.
But, that said, wouldn't change anything about the Amazon. You know?
Yeah, no, me neither, yeah.
Seeing the little frogs jumping from leaf to leaf, seeing the monkeys up in the trees, the
jungle turkeys.
Yeah.
The macaws. And seeing
that
like
cool.
15, 16 of them up in the air flying around.
That was cool.
I wanted to say a murder of macaws, but that's definitely not the breed.
The only thing I would just wish that we could have stayed longer. I would have sacrificed, the day in Cusco we had yesterday for an extra day in the jungle.
Especially because the day of leaving and travel was actually quite long and difficult.
Yeah.
2 flights and the boat up the river starting at 4 o'clock. I think everybody, me particularly, I was falling asleep in the briefing that night, was just, dead on their feet.
It was a big turnaround.
Yeah.
For that amount of time.
But the whole experience, the lodge, and the opportunity to play cards and have pisco sours and teaching the barmen how to make baby Guinnesses.
Baby Guinness, yeah.
That's a point of pride.
There you go, yeah.
That's cultural. I don't want to say appropriation, but like reappropriation, giving.
Yeah.
Propagation.
Cultural propagation. But yeah, and then we're off to Cusco with the next plan of hiking in the Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, Machu Picchu.
You said that so many times.
But yeah, also that.
I'm gonna start playing Pokemon again. Get a Pikachu, call him Maku, and get him to use Thunderbolt just for kicks. Not all of this needs to stay in the podcast.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, the days leading up to Machu Picchu or Pikachu were amazing. We did the quarry trek, which was 3 days, 2 nights, camping, up on the mountain, over 3,500 meters, which was tough.
Yes.
It was very.
No, it was so easy. I found it so easy. I trailed the trailed the pack, and I don't know if
you were leading the way all the way through, weren't you?
Oh, for sure. I'm just natural born leader over here. Can't you tell? Yeah, in the heist film, I'm Simon Pegg every time, and I've just made my peace with that. But anyway, so I found it quite difficult, personally. I think everybody found it difficult, but on levels of difficulty, I was the one behind the pack, just about crawling up the mountain in various stages. I don't know if it was the altitude or a fitness thing or whatever it was. I did find it very difficult, and then at a certain point our assistant guide Renee was pretty much kind of chaperoning me up the mountain. Every so often I'd stop,
I go. It was fucking crazy.
And then I turn to Renee and I go, Adelante, we do a high five. And then continue up for another maybe 10, 15 paces and repeat. And that was the only way.
Yeah.
The first day, that is how I got to the end.
Yeah.
And then on the second day, it was a much harder climb. Much higher from a harder starting point, and then kind of a difficult night sleeping.
Yes, sleeping at altitude has been really difficult for me. I just haven't slept for a fucking week.
Yeah.
It's been that fucking brutal.
Never mind that it's kind of camping and it's not the most comfortable of experiences ever. If I was to do it again, and I won't, I would glamp up the mountain. Imagine arriving to like a proper bed in like a teepee.
To be fair though, we had
an excellent orders and cooks, and the food was great, and the guides were excellent.
It was just the tents themselves that were the tricky bit, because it was damp, and we were on a slope the first night, and we were starting early. We were up at 5, and the overtiredness combined with the altitude, it just didn't suit me. I don't know how I did the second day. I have absolutely no idea how I got to the top the second day.
Well, I just decided, you know what, lads, I can't be bothered. I'm going to jump on a horse now and fly up the mountain. And I'll see you at the top.
You did do that.
And I'll pretend that I was in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
I was part of the Vanderlind gang. And
you look like it with that orange helmet on, actually. That is actually how you looked. Yeah.
Basically.
Is the DLC.
Oh, cracker. Basically, there's a team of porters and cooks that have horses that bring up the tents and food and any other kind of important paraphernalia as you do the trip. And what they do have is emergency horses for people that it's either they're a danger to others or a danger to themselves by not being able to keep up with the trip. And also, you want to, I think the thing of it was, at the end of the day, you need to enjoy the experience. Yes, right? That's what Will said eventually.
Yeah.
He was like, Emmet, I can see you're suffering.
And it shouldn't be a punishment. It should be,
But the hilarious part of it was the punishing looks of glee. Had everybody going, there's Emmet in an orange helmet going up the mountain by himself because he's not able. Like, I wouldn't mind, but I got up to that, and from that point on, I was nearly catching up with everybody. And downhill, I was fine.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the uphill just...
Well, it's because it was fucking 4,000 metres, that's why.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy.
I
wasn't... when I booked it, I wanted a challenge. I wanted, a physical kind of experience. I was not expecting that when I booked it. I tell you that. Honestly, it was almost impossible. It felt almost impossible for a lot, because I was stopping every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
by the time I remember embracing you at the top, and you just you were seeing through me. In a way that you don't. As a human being, you're wonderful, right? You're very acknowledging in your presence, but you were seeing through me because you didn't know who you were, where you were, or whatever it might have mattered or not.
Yeah. At that point, I was getting pretty emotional. Yeah. And exhausted. So that's probably what that was, I think.
But on the other hand, right? I feel like if we hadn't have done the Amazon the way that it happened, that it was like its own independent, arduous journey in a way that it wasn't supposed to be, we wouldn't have been as bonded as a group going up. That Definitely. It was just trying, support. Yeah. But every so often, Ethan would turn around and go, "You got it, mate."
That was actually a good impression.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
We're not going to tell any of his stories on this. No. We'll leave that to the Ethan episode.
I think you're right, and it was the difficult part, and was in the middle of this section of the trip for you guys anyway. I think you're right. I think the way that it's all panned out has made it
special.
Yeah, special, and like, you know, we bonded better for that reason.
Yeah,
I think.
it was a case of, you know, brothers in arms and sisters in arms, humans in arms, going up the mountain.
And it has been like that second camping night. That spot that we camped at was unbelievable.
Yeah,
It was so like the most perfect, most picturesque spot that we could have. Like, you couldn't have made that up.
yeah.
It was so special.
Meanwhile, we were kind of serenading people to sleep in the tent, in the dining tent with Robbie Williams' Angels, for anybody who wanted to go to bed early. Kirsty said she was delighted with it.
Delighted.
No one else did, but Kirsty did.
Yeah, I think it was on the morning of the third day, so after the second night, and I remember waking up and it was just about sunrise, and then just seeing the sun appear above the clouds.
Yeah, I remember walking out
Yeah.
to see you, actually, yeah.
And then there was also, I believe, in that region, the largest mountain, which is called Wakai Wilka. That was to the left of our campsite as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was truly breathtaking.
Yeah.
And yeah, just, I'd say, core memory, really.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. So I've so many of those core memories, as you say, on this trip.
Tell us about the waterfall.
What do you want to know about the waterfall?
You love waterfalls. Tell us about the
Yeah, I
waterfall.
do love waterfalls. So
On the first day, there was a waterfall.
on the first day of the trek, yeah, there was. So just a bit of context to the waterfall obsession. I actually don't know where this came from. I think my friend was leaving to New Zealand a year or so ago, 2 years ago. No, Australia. And I had seen, I don't know, I've become obsessed with seeing like natural wonders and beauties, and I started to like hunt them down in the UK. And you know, they're great. There's some amazing ones in Wales, but not many in the south of England, as you can imagine. And then travelled to New Zealand and kind of just waterfall hunted the whole time, and saw some truly amazing things there. And I don't know what it is. It's like the rush of the water falling from a great height eternally to me kind of blows my mind.
Right.
So I'm kind of obsessed with that feeling or that emotion of seeing something that has been going on for an eternity and will go on for an eternity. I just think it's amazing. So the waterfall, I was very excited to see and to get there, and I was like running around like a little girl taking pictures. I got in it, washed myself in it, and tried to drink from it, and do all the things that you should do at a waterfall, I guess.
So for my side, I was following the pack at the very back.
Oh yes,
Right?
yes.
I got up and saw that I had to go up some of the mountain to come back down to the waterfall, and said, no, I don't think I'll survive. And then Alex kind of bounds up and he goes, have you been in waterfall? It's like, no. It's like, you should. It's like, I won't make it. It's like, but you still should.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And then like bounded away.
I skipped away.
Yeah, you did.
Just to go back.
Yeah. Like there was emanating joy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I want more of that. Yeah.
But yeah, look, all in all, I've no regrets doing the hike. I found it very difficult, but you know, it's all part of, you know, the escape and adventure that we were talking about at the beginning. And fundamentally landed us back to Olian Tambo, nearly. No,
Oyan Taitambo.
that one. Which started our final journey to Machu Picchu, which I think to a lot of us was a anchoring point of trying to do the trip. Was to kind of tick off one of the
New 8 wonders of the world.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. For me, I don't know if, to be honest, Machu Picchu has never been on my radar.
Just some rocks in it.
And also I was like, why would I want to trek for 4 days to get there? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I ever do that? And yeah, it was literally just a spur of the moment thing for me. Like, but the way that our guide described the trek and the Machu Picchu experience really like sent it home to me. So like, not to go against what you're saying, Emmet, but I wouldn't describe it as a checking off the list thing for me, because the way he put it was, you know, you do the trek and it cleanses your soul, and it kind of prepares you for the experience of going to Machu Picchu, which is like this supposed to be this spiritual experience and like a very personal and private experience. And I think that's what it was for me. That's what it ended up being anyway.
I 100% agree. What I'm more saying is that I wouldn't have known that there was any sort of spiritual experience to be had before booking the holiday.
Right, yeah.
You know?
This
is one of those things that I discovered along the way. It's rather than just, you know, a very clinical, cynical, oh, I was there, I ate guinea pig.
Yeah, sure.
You know? But yeah, before you do any of these things, like I've intentions of going to Egypt and seeing the pyramids. I think that that's going to be its own thing when we do arrive. But as far as the planning of it beforehand, it's a box tick. And that's how I'd consider it before going. Maybe that's the wrong thing, but I don't really want to this is a massive pilgrimage and I'm going to feel this, that and the other at the end of it, because all of a sudden you're setting expectations that you've no way of fulfilling.
Yeah. But that's what it is for some people. That's what people set out.
And more power to them, but that's just the thing. I can't do it.
Okay.
I don't want to do it in any experiences in life.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the Camino trek.
Yeah.
Right.
Santiago. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people treat, you know, these two, they put them in the same bag. And I think that's great, and I think I would definitely do something similar. I would do the Camino Trail. Having done this, I would want to achieve something like that again. Not being. I would never describe myself as like a spiritual person, really, but definitely had experiences where that I would describe as spiritual.
I find it quite grounding.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You're in the mountains, away from everything. Every so often people had signal and I just didn't know what to do with that as a sentence. Like, why were you going anywhere near your phone or
social media? Yeah, that's weird. I agree.
You know, I didn't have it. Coming on the trip, I'm working off Wi-Fi and nothing else. So starting the trek, phone coverage was not something I had any interest in.
Yeah, I told everybody that, you know, I'm not going to talk to you for however many days now.
Yeah,
I'll speak to you next week or whatever. And that was great. That's what I needed. It's good for your soul, man, to fucking switch that shit off.
Oh, the value is insane.
Fuck me. Yeah. And I this experience definitely makes me want to step away from it. And I don't know what it is like for you with work, and I would imagine it's the same. But when you're in like work groups or like what's happening next with work, it's just like relentless and it could just go on forever. So it's just so nice to just actually switch it off for a set period of time, and just like separate yourself, and it's just so good for your soul, man. It's just so
embrace what's genuinely in front of you. You know?
Yeah. And actually
the rock, the flora, the fauna, the people, you know, the connection. Like I find, and always have found, a huge amount of value in people over pretty much anything else. And between the Amazon and the mountain, there was that in spades,
Mm.
just for days, you know, and you never know what point somebody might hit that they'll open up about this or talk about that or whatever, you know, or how just internally they've found new peace with whatever they're going on with, because the outside world doesn't count. It's just what's ever in front of you, including me in an orange helmet. If you can't joke about it, there's no point.
Yeah, and that comes back to the whole escape thing, and everybody's come out for different reasons.
Yep.
You're slightly different, but everybody, I feel like, wants to gain perspective, to learn something about themselves or about the world, and I think that I think that's what we've got, and I think switching off does that, and I think these kind of experiences make people look to the future and kind of not reminisce. Reminisce is the wrong word. What's another word for reminisce? Or like, fuck. This is the point where I forget a word for a minute.
It's alright. As in they're almost kind of projecting the new experience on the future.
I think it's more like processing like what's happened and processing what's brought you here, and that kind of allows you to move forward, right, in whatever you're going to do next.
A general reframing on what's going on in life.
Yeah, because and also life moves so quick. It's so intense, and when you get the opportunities to actually stop and
drink the waterfall.
Drink the waterfall. Not everybody gets to do this. Like a fraction of the world's population gets to do this.
But on the other hand, everybody and their mother have said, "Oh, I must do that. That would be great."
Well, yeah, but
everybody has the intention. And sometimes you get lucky enough to just have to follow through.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. Circumstances get in the way.
True.
Indeed.
So I think tomorrow we're off to Lake Titicaca.
Yes. Which is the highest navigable lake in the world. Navigable being you're able to ride a vessel, so like a ship, through the lake. Yeah. I googled it earlier.
I didn't understand that definition either, because there must be loads of fucking lakes.
No, but is it that there are higher lakes in the likes of Nepal that you just...
It's just like a tiny little...
Yeah, it's a big enough body of water to be defined as a lake, but small enough that if you put a boat in it, you're not getting the boat back out.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yeah. Which is all very exciting. And then a homestay. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of other stories in the next 3 or 4 days. But thanks for having us, Lionel.
Of course. Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. Do you want to talk about, I guess, like your plans for after the trip? Or
after the trip, well, I don't know if anybody can tell that I'm Irish. But I finish in Buenos Aires on the 15th. I fly home on the 16th into the 17th of March. And 17th of March being St. Patrick's Day, it would be rude. In fact, it'd almost be, treasonous. Not to stop in and have a pint. But I think, even though this experience has been wonderful so far, and I do think that that's going to continue, I'm quite happy that there's an end point, and then see what the next one is. Like the beaches of Zanzibar.
Nice. I think for me, my trip with you guys ends in 4 days, which is fucking heartbreaking.
You'll be missed very dearly.
Yeah, I'm maybe thinking about trying to join you for a bit longer. But it depends on money. So otherwise, I think I want to try and stay away from home for as long as I can, really. So I might try and pick up some work somewhere out here, maybe up in the States, and just get just a bit more experience of life, I guess, and just to be outdoors more.
More waterfalls.
More waterfalls, more mountains, please, more green, and just more quiet, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think because I'm tired, the temptation is to just go home because I'm so fucking tired. I think that's a mistake because I said to you earlier, I'm not going to do anything at home. So yeah, I just think I need to just try and see more because there's too much to see. Which is, I guess, I think for you, I would imagine that this whole thing is how I feel anyway, is overwhelming. Overwhelmed by the sheer size of what there is to see in the world. And I know that you're doing this like round the world tour for the next year.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you narrow it down to like, I'll do this, and this, because there's so many countries I don't even know the name of.
I know the names, and the reason I know the names is that...
What, of every 134 countries or whatever it is?
Well, quite a few of them is... Do you remember the Animaniacs?
What's that?
The Animaniacs is the animated TV series by the Warner Brothers in the 90s.
Okay.
And they have a song which has most of the countries in the world in it.
And you know the song?
I know the song, yeah.
Oh, wow.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, etc. To the tune of the Barber of Seville, the opera.
Oh,
but yeah, anyway.
Go to Peru though. Peru's banging.
Mm.
I'm gonna come back because there's so much stuff that I've missed.
I have to do Nazca. I have to see the spider made of stones from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe not do the hike again. Possibly the Amazon, but maybe not do the hike.
Yeah, I would like
you
to
know,
do that.
some it's different strokes for different people.
Folks.
Exactly.
This has been great, and I would love to spend more time here. Probably will.
And do follow up. You know, once we've all finished the trip and time has passed and we can have the opportunity to reminisce, let's just do another one of these and see how we go.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and I guess I'll see you next time.